Perfect. All right. 3, 2, 1, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a Hoops Journey episode 146. Today we get the opportunity to sit down with what some would say one of the best Canadian stories basketball-wise out there. I took some notes, and the list is going to be long of accomplishments.
Oh, wait. I got to
Whoa,
interrupt you. I got to interrupt you.
what?
If this is 146 and I'm one of the best stories, that can't be. That can't be.
Listen,
No, that's no.
good things come to those who wait, I guess they say, or you got to know James DePoe. Like there's a rhyme. I don't know. Like
There you go.
everybody has their turn. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, Scott Morrison said top 5 Canadian story of all time. So I mean, there
What
you
does he
go.
know?
Right. He's already cut me off, and I love it. Where do we begin here? Ontario boy, 16-year-old on the national team from Minnesota to Syracuse as he's rocking his cues right now. A Big Ten all rookie, the NBA draft, national team head coach, played overseas. Most people probably know him as well currently for, broadcasting TV, the Raptors, the Canada Basketball Hall of Fame. The list goes on and on and on. And also known for his lifeguarding skills. Shout out Ransford Brempong. With Mr. DePoe brought up on that, we have none other than Mr. Leo Rautins with us today. How are you, sir?
I'm great, Aaron. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Just life's moving on, just back teaching, getting ready for b-ball season around the corner, chasing our little 8-year-old around, and
Oof.
just trying to enjoy life.
I don't miss
So
those
no
days.
complaints over here.
You know?
I know everybody says, yeah. It's a lot. It's full on. It is full on. There's no doubt about that.
Oh yeah.
So we've got, you're down in Florida. We talked offline here. The hurricane and pretty chaotic week there. How's things down there, and how's life for you as you just said you're getting ready to pack up and kind of head back? But how have the last couple of weeks been? Pretty stressful times, I'm sure.
It's Florida,
and a little
right?
bit chaotic.
It's Florida.
Yep.
So it's hey, anybody listening out there, you don't live on the west coast of Florida. Stay off the Gulf. It's too warm. The water's too warm. I'm on the East Coast, so I just think it's safer. I'm not in a flood zone. You got to know these things when you're buying. You better have hurricane
Yeah.
windows and doors. You got to have all that stuff. But I tell you the scary part. There were so the hurricanes on the west coast, and we're gonna get the wind bands, and it's gonna be gusty and all that kind of stuff. But that's it. But the tornadoes, I guess what we were in is dirty zone. They call it below the tornado, below the hurricane. 126 tornado warnings. Like every 5 minutes, my phone's going off, right? And within 20 miles of here, there were 5 or 6 tornadoes that came down, one a half a mile away, and you can't prepare for that. You run, hide, and pray.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's a little unnerving. The hurricane, yeah, you can deal with that.
No doubt. Crazy. How long have you been down there now?
Since 2014.
There you go. All right. So we won't do the math there. I was never good, even though I'm a high school teacher. But
hey, don't mention math to me.
And you're packing up, getting ready to head back and do your thing and do that. I mean, it must be tough leaving the sun and the nice weather. Hey.
Well, it's I love it here. Because I played and spent a lot of years beating my body up. My body feels a lot better here.
Yep.
Even in the summer, I just love the heat. But I'm excited to go back. Obviously, Raptor season starting up, and I got my boys in Toronto and my sons, and so it's a lot of friends and everything like that. So I'm excited to go back. Outside of the cold, I'm ready.
Yeah, good, awesome, right on, good stuff. And I think that's important too, to be continuing to enjoy what you're doing and finding those times to fill the voids and keep yourself busy, which is also good. And obviously the game that you love. So let's go back. Let's talk about a young Leo back in the day and sort of how he was raised and why basketball was sort of the sport that was for you, and separated from whatever else you were doing when you were a little runt.
Two simple reasons. One, my background is Lithuanian. So the Lithuanian national sport is basketball.
Sure.
So Lithuanian kids, we had the Church of the Resurrection in Toronto. You go down there and you play hoops, and you had you had priests from the U.S. that were coaching you, right? So
Right.
these guys knew hoops. Like you had a whole different background. We used to have these tournaments, North American tournaments, where you're playing against U.S. teams, Division One guys, all this stuff. So I got that gave me a great exposure. And then the other part is simple. My brother George played. He played. He got scholarships. Played at Niagara University. Um, he was really, he was a tremendous shooter. He played for Canada. Went to the same high school I did, same Mikes, and all I wanted to do was be better than him. Whatever he did, he had 5 scholarships. I wanted 100. He
Mm.
played for Canada. I wanted to be the best player for Canada. He got drafted by the Buffalo Braves. I wanted to be a first round pick. So whatever he did, I had to be better. He was my driving force. So that's how all this started.
What was the age gap for you guys?
8 years, eight
Oh,
years.
damn.
So
Okay.
yeah, so he treated me rough. He
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know now thankfully his friends, his peers, always took care of me when he wasn't around, right?
Mm,
They gave me rides, and because see, my upbringing is very different than what kids experience today. Right
mm,
now you got AAU and all this other stuff, club ball. When I was playing, you had like CYO, you had some leagues, but once I got better, so by 8th grade, I was playing in men's leagues.
yeah.
So I go from my grade school team or my high school team to a men's league game, right? And I might even play 2 men's leagues game depending on who's going where, right? And,
Hmm.
and so I just like that's the way I had to play.
Hmm.
I mentioned the Lithuanian thing. They had a men's league, so I was playing with those guys,
That's awesome.
and it's a different environment, right? Like I grew up with men. Guys are, when the game's over, they go to the bar. Well, guess what? That's my ride. So I either get in with an illegal ID or I sit in a car until they're done drinking,
Yeah.
right? So it's that's what it was like. But you had to do it if you want to play because I couldn't play against kids my age.
Yeah. Um, Not that it's neither here nor there if you eliminate the bar part. Like someone who's still involved high school coaching right now and sees the game and the landscape and where it's gone. At times I feel like, I was the same, right? Played at Brandon University for good old Jerry Hemmings and
Right,
grew
Gary.
up the same way, right? Like, just getting beat up on the playground, playing bigger, faster, stronger, bigger guys. Where are your thoughts on the shape
Sorry, I
of the
think I
game?
got. I'm
Oh, did you
trying to.
cut?
I got a call came in. I got it on mute or not mute, but what do you call it? There we go. I have this on do not disturb, but clearly do not disturb is not working.
No worries. No worries.
Sorry about that.
All good. All good. Three, two, one. So growing up, kind of just knowing, like I agree. I grew up the same way. We were the only ones in our neighborhood in Vancouver with a flat driveway. So the older kids would come to our house to play hoops, and I always got to play because it was our house, right? So
Right.
how do you feel about the way the game's going, knowing that yes, we have never had more kids playing the game. I think the exposure is fantastic, and how many kids are playing, but how do we sort of get that back, or will we ever get it back, or do I sound like too much of a grumpy old guy? Get off my lawn, like it's a complex question, but what are your thoughts on that?
No, we're not going to get it back. Things have changed. Things have gone a different direction. Hey, look, I wish I had AAU ball, right? I
Yeah,
wish I could travel around the country. And, when I was coming out of high school, I got Street and Smith's magazine. I don't know if you remember
yeah,
that.
oh yeah,
And they used to tell you who the All Americans were, they even came up with All Canadians. But I had no idea who these guys were. I wanted to know how good I was, right?
yeah,
I'm hearing about these guys in the West Coast. I hear about these All Americans in the States, but I don't know who. I don't. Am I better than them? Are they? How much better are they than me? I don't know. Right
yeah,
now, these kids all play against each other.
yeah,
Uh, so a lot of things happen. There's no more anxiety and nervousness. I mean, everybody. You played against everybody, so you also know what you have to do to get better because you see these guys all the time.
hmm,
So just to have that competition and exposure, I think is phenomenal. I got really lucky. I made the national team, right, in as a 16-year-old,
hmm,
and what that allowed me to do is I got I went on my first trip We went around the world playing. I came home. I had North Carolina, UCLA, Syracuse, everybody knocking on my door. I
Hmm.
got on a scouting service. I was ranked like the second best small forward in the country, U.S., whatever. I don't know what it was.
Yep.
I got it somewhere in a scrapbook, but
Yeah.
all of a sudden the floodgates opened up. Without the national team, like I just grew up with guys that were really good. That
Hmm.
if it was today, they would all been playing Division One, all of them.
Right.
But nobody saw them and nobody cared, right?
Yeah.
So what these kids have today is great. I worry about the fact that, hey, I go down to the gym and I'm playing with older guys. You take the wrong shot, you get slapped in the head. You don't pass the ball, you get slapped in the head. You learn how to play the right way.
Hmm.
Um, you understood the difference between a good shot, a bad shot, a good pass. You better play defense or you're not playing. We used to have these runs where, you lose a game, you might not get on for 10 more games, right? So you had to play. We used to go down to Buffalo and play pickup ball, man. It's like you lose a game, you're done. But we'd hold the court, and guys want to fight and kill us.
Yeah.
you know.
For sure.
But those are the environments that we grew up in where winning really mattered. Okay, in the AAU tournaments, if you lose, you play another one. You lose, you play another one.
Yeah.
You just keep playing. So I think winning and losing takes on a different meaning.
Mhm.
And you're just playing. You're really not. You're getting better because you're playing, but you're not getting better as a player because you're not working on all the fundamentals. And you're not being taught. Like I see a lot of AAU guys, and they just do whatever they want. And it's almost like coaches are afraid to coach them. And they got so many people. You don't want to lose the kids. You don't coach them, right? So that's a negative, right? That's a negative.
Yep.
But the sheer talent and the ability to play and be exposed is amazing. I'd love to be a kid today.
Yeah, for sure. Great reflection. I love that. You kind of tied into sort of where I wanted to go with it, and just sort of like, when did you realize, was it before the national team invite, call up, whatever you want to call it, where you thought, okay, I want to pursue this at the post secondary? Was it because your brother, you were like so determined and focused, you were like already thinking about it when you were, 11? I guess, if you're 8 years apart, he's probably what, 9, 10, he's going to college.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what is that like to get that call up at 16 years old? And how does one, you're like a Silas Swords almost. Like, how do you approach that? These are men, right? And it's such
Well,
a unique, interesting part of your story.
yeah. So I can't explain it, but
Fair.
I knew that I was going to be an NBA player. I was convinced, which is kind of crazy because you're lucky if you saw a game on TV once a week. The Buffalo Braves played exhibition games in Toronto, and I got to sneak in and catch a couple of those here and there.
Hmm.
Which I wore number 11 my whole career because Bob McAdoo played for the Buffalo Braves, and I watched him score 48 against the Celtics. Like to me, it was like, oh my God, look at this.
Yeah.
Um, so, but for some reason, I was convinced this is what I was going to do. Okay. Um, Now I've told the story a lot of times. I was better than most kids my age, and I went to try out for the Ontario junior team. And back then, it's not like today. You don't have the U15, 16, 7. Not well, no. It was 21 and under. That was the Ontario junior team, and I'm barely 16, right?
Yeah.
So I go try out, and I thought I should have made it, right? And they walk up, hey, thanks for coming out. You're too young, but and the way I am, like that really pissed me off.
Love it.
Um, you tell me I can't. I said, okay. I said, take a look. You're gonna remember me. And like I was a gym rat, right? I balled all day.
Yeah.
And after that, I balled. Like I was mad. Um, and so I'm playing for this all-star team, a Toronto all-star team. Al Quantz, legendary coach from Oakwood, he was coaching. And we went to Buffalo to play an all-star team there. And I played well. I actually got a scholarship offer from Canisius that night, my first one, I think.
Hmm.
But I played well. So we got home late. We got home like 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that. By the time he eats, two, whatever. My dad wakes me up at like 6:37. I don't know what it was. It was early,
Hmm.
and he goes, "You're going to come to the national team tryout, right?" I go, "What? Seriously? Like The Ontario team. This is probably what 7 months later after I got cut.
Okay.
And my dad says, you're gonna try out. I said, I got cut from the junior team, Ontario. Like, what are they gonna tell me I'm too young? He goes, what are you gonna do all day? I said, I'm gonna play. He goes, well, who? I got my guys. He goes, well, everybody's over there. Let's go. Now you got to understand, my parents always supported me and encouraged me, but they never said go play or go work out or do it. Never, never. For my dad to even come up and say, hey, let's go. That was a very unusual thing, right? So we go.
So why do you think that was? Why did he pick that point?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I have no idea. It's just, but like I think he knew I could play. I'm sure he had different conversations with my brother than my brother had with me.
Sure.
So like if I flash forward, Ken McKenzie is the guy that played with my brother. He was a big man, who would have been an NBA player if he hadn't blown out his knee. And all my brother used to do was say, you stink, you can't do this, you can't do that, because he knew it drove me, right? It pissed me off, but it drove me. And all of a sudden, 100 years later, Ken McKenzie's my roommate on this little national team experience. And Ken says, you know what? All your brother did was talk about you. He said, my little brother kicked everybody's ass on this team right now. Right now, my brother's better than anybody. I'm going, what? What? Wait, hold on. My brother, George, right? He said that to you? So I was like, crazy. So maybe my dad had conversations with my brother that I wasn't privy to. I don't know. But for my dad to do that, wake me up and say, let's go, was crazy. So we go, and they got a bunch of guys. They put you on teams, and you start playing. I played very well for 5 minutes. I made like a jumper or two. I blocked a shot. I had a dunk. Like whatever I did in my 5 minutes, I just remember I was rolling. I was good. And it would come out. Jack Donohue says, "Come here." I'm going, right. It's going to be thanks for coming out, right? I know it. Like a son of a. So I walk over. He goes, "Yeah, how are you doing?" I said, "Okay, coach," because I knew he coached my brother, right? Yeah. And I say, he goes, "Listen, I want to invite you to the national camp." I'm going, what? Right? And it wasn't that I didn't believe I can play. It's just like I didn't believe that he saw that, right?
Right.
And my life started from that point. My life changed.
Yeah.
I remember calling him. So they had two teams. If you made the A team, you're going to travel around the world playing the Intercontinental Cup. If you made the B team, you're going to Cuba for 2 weeks, right? And I remember calling him before camp. I mean, you got to remember, I'm a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah.
I said, Coach, what should I pack? And he said, well, if you're just planning on going to Cuba, you might as well stay home. Hey. I said, okay, all right. And
love that.
So if you want, so that changed my life, right?
Yeah.
And then flash forward, I go to camp, and we all have to introduce ourselves the night before. Like we're all in this big room, and everybody's gonna stand up, say who we are. So I go, Leo Rautins, St. Michael's High School, and you can see guys just laughing, whatever. So next morning, there's a ton of guys. They put you on the 5. You go on a team and you match up and you play, and the next group comes on a whole bit. So every for the first 3 games, every time I was on the floor, everybody said, "I got him." Right? I got him. And now one thing, I was in shape, man. I played all day. I could run. And midway through that first morning, Jimmy Zoot was the best big man in Canada at the time. He ended up being our center in the national team. Had great years. I think he was at Lakehead at the time. But Jimmy was long, 7'1", long. Had a great, great. What do you call it? He jumped really quick and well. So I came down the middle of the lane, and Jimmy was under the basket. I went up, and boom, dunked it on him, and everything changed. Like they say, like Michael Jordan hit that shot, win a national championship. Everything changed. As soon as that dunk happened, everything changed. I remember that. If I close my eyes, I can feel it, right?
Mm.
And the way everybody looked at me changed. I remember Steve Kachalski was the assistant coach of Jack Donohue. He told me we were sitting there, and you did that. We both just kind of looked at each other, and said, you know, and all of a sudden, the next after that, and this is what kind of things boost your confidence. We get on the floor. I was the last guy anybody matched up with, right? I was the last guy. So so that was my start. That was my start with the national team, and being with Jack Donohue was amazing because, like he'd have conversations here. He talked to you. Like we were in Israel, and he saw that wasn't happy. I wasn't playing. And he said, he used to sit in the front of the bus. He'd come out, go to the front of the bus. He goes, "Everything okay?" I said, He goes, "You want to play?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Just keep working." He goes, "You want to be an NBA player?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You're gonna be. You're gonna be an NBA player." Now this is Jack Donohue. This is a guy that coached Lou
Mm.
Alcindor, Kareem Jabbar. This is a guy from the States, Holy Cross, a whole bit. So when Jack Donohue says that to you, right, it takes on a
Mm.
whole different meaning than your buddies going, "Oh yeah, you can play," right? So,
Yeah, for sure.
so my life changed. Like everything changed from that open tryout to that dunk to the way Jack talked to me.
Hmm.
My whole life changed. And one other thing happened. And one
Mm.
other thing happened, which for kids listening, if they're listening, you never know when your opportunity comes, right? So I wasn't playing much, and we did. So what happened is we went to like Italy, Yugoslavia at the time, Soviet Union, Russia, Moscow. We went to Belgium, somewhere else. We went to a whole bunch of places, Israel, and then we played all those teams back in Canada. So we got our asses handed to us in Europe. Russia beat us by 60, right? We just got destroyed. We come back to
Yeah.
Canada.
Yeah.
Our first game, we're playing Israel in Windsor, and Ross Quackenbush from St. Mary's, who also coaches St. Mary's.
Yes.
Ross at that time was kind of like our guy. Like he was playing great. He was built like a brick house. He was really playing well for us. And he sprained his ankle really bad in the first half. I start the second half, and we beat Israel, right? And I played well. And next game, we're playing Italy in St. John's, New Brunswick. And in the morning, we got shoot around, and I don't have a white jersey on. I got a red one. I'm thinking, hey, wait a minute. Ross is out. I played well. We won. I'll be starting. So, and again, coach says, "What's wrong?" I said, "He goes, hey, don't worry about it. Play." Right?
Mm.
Well, we beat Italy in overtime, and I had like 19 or 20 or whatever it was. And then the next game, we're in Winnipeg. We're playing Yugoslavia, one of the best teams in the world. And I started that game, right? And I ended up having like, I don't know, 25, 30. We beat
Mm.
Yugoslavia. And that's it. So again, the open tryout, the dunk on Jimmy, the Yugoslavia game, that was my team now, right?
Yeah.
Like so that this is I'm no longer just a kid. This is my team now, and my whole
Yeah.
life changed with the national team, with everything. Um,
Hmm.
and again, and everybody got wind of all this stuff. So all the universities and all the scouting reports. So my whole life changed in a matter of 2.5, 3 months.
So some powerful stuff there with Coach Donahue. Just
He was
like
amazing.
yeah, you made a point of it saying he actually talked to me because I think some you've coached, like it's sometimes the relationship is, but seems like we've had many people on the show talk about him and just how he wasn't afraid to lean into those conversations and then let you know that he cared about you either way, right? Whether by
I
pushing you really hard or whatever it was. And so for him to be able to do that, I think probably and then being able to read you enough and say, hey, I can see Rautins is pissed off. He's not starting, but hey, I'm going to have this conversation. Let him know I still believe in him and mentor you through that. I think some powerful stuff there with him and what a legend he was.
I tell people, if you listen to me talk about the game, It's Jack. All right. The
Mm,
way I think the game, the way I see the game. Jack, the game was simple. And I think the game is very simple. We
yeah.
had 4 plays when I was but we ran them. We beat you with 4 plays. We
Hmm.
ran them. We did what we had to do. Like, and it was nothing complicated about what we did. But like just the way I think, he'd remind don't sign an autograph if you win, if you're not going to sign it when you lose. Hey, one day nobody's going to give a shit. Like he'd just always remind you, like we'd be in some luxury resort in the Philippines for the World Championship. So we're in the pool, and he'd be laying there in the pool going, I wonder what the poor people are doing today. Right.
Mm,
He'd always bring things back. Right. And,
hmm. Hmm.
and like I said, he taught me how to think the game. And trust me, I was the best player in the country. And one day, and I'm kicking butt in practice. And one day, coach, you got to remember back in those days, you're practicing 2, 3 times a day, right? It's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So Jack had to go somewhere. Jack had to go somewhere, and he says, "Come with me." So we get in the car. He had to go speak at some dinner, and he takes me out of practice to go. He goes, "Put something on." We go to this dinner, and I'm sitting in the car. I'm going, like, and he goes, "Are you? Do you ever worry about getting cut?" And I'm going, "Yeah, yeah. That's why I'm in the best shape. That's why nobody's going to outrun me. Nobody's going to do it. Like I get ready more than that. Like I'm sitting there going, am I going to get cut? Right? But like you were always like, even if you were his best guy, he still made you work.
Yeah.
Like he'd get in here, but you know what? He treated everybody differently, yet you didn't feel like you were being favored. Like if
Mm,
he knew you needed to be kicked, he'd kick you. If he needed you had to be kissed, he'd kiss you. But you were still part of this team, right? You weren't
hmm.
going, why is he kissing him? It wasn't like that. He had a magical way of driving you, pushing you, holding you, and hugging you. Like he knew, like to connect with me wasn't screaming, right? Even though he did enough of that, that wasn't the way to connect with me. Like I remember, I have a big turnover late in the game. He goes, Leo, he goes, get over here. And I get over there, and he goes, you are the ugliest player I've ever coached, right? And like you're looking at him, he goes, get out there, right? And you just break out laughing. Well, guess what? I make 2 plays, we win the game
Right.
because he knows how to connect with me. Now maybe with
Hmm.
somebody else, he used to have the greatest lines too. Like Jimmy Zoot had this hook shot. He goes, Jimmy, you're 0 for 42 days with that shot. Bury it. Like he had the funniest. He said it was a guy, Fred Kopke. Uh, he made the team, and I think they put him on a team because he was a Canadian college player. He just played good. He worked hard. It's a message, right?
Sure.
But Freddie, so one day Freddie takes a shot in practice, and Jack yells out. Jack's sitting in the corner. He goes, Freddie, Red Saltzman, or he makes up a name, wrote a book on basketball. There's 248 possible shots in a game of basketball. That was 249, right? And then, 2 minutes later, Freddie takes a shot. All you hear is 250. You know, so Jack was an
That's so
amazing,
good.
amazing
That
person. Yeah, he was amazing. Yeah.
I mean, that's a skill set, right? Like that to be able to have that plus the ability to adapt with the X's and O's, like that's a serious skill set that he's got
Oh
and
yeah.
reason behind his legendary status. Great stories, love it. Um, so for you, obviously your trajectory is crazy. It's intense. It's like you're trying to grow armpit hair and you're starting on the national team. It's pretty wild. So
Yeah.
you talked about that trip where the recruiting and the letters and people coming up and showing interest. How were you able to filter through all that and figure out exactly what you want to do? I mean, that's an overwhelming thing to go through for anybody, but with that much and that extreme, how was that process?
Well, it was crazy because nobody knew how to deal with this, right? And the
Yeah.
rules were a lot different. Like the contact rules were a lot different. Um, and I'm not exaggerating when I say I had coaches calling my house at 2 o'clock in the morning from the West Coast.
Right.
And from different places around the country. There were times where there'd be so many there'd be coaches in the gym,
Hmm.
coaches already sitting in my kitchen in my house, coaches parked outside my house. And like I call home, I go, Mom, don't say Leo, don't say my name. Okay. I need a bag. Okay. Put the bag in the back door where the laneway is. Okay. Here's what I need. I'm not coming home. Okay. And I had my buddy come up, grab the bag, and I went and stayed somewhere else. I couldn't even go in the house. Right. Um, and like I said, it got
Jeez.
to the point where it was crazy. Right. Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
there were schools, literally the closer schools, somebody was there every day. Uh, and all the big schools came in, like Michigan, Marquette, North Carolina, everybody, right? Everybody came in. Why does this keep doing?
Hmm. Hmm. Oh,
Is that was that okay there?
yeah, you're good.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, Carl, three. You were talking about just kind of the schools and the big schools recruiting you. Yeah. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, it was insane. The amount of schools, the quality of schools, like I said, I couldn't go home. I mean, there were coaches everywhere, um, and we it's not like we knew how to set rules, boundaries. Nobody's ever been through it before. They're calling, they're
Hmm.
like I said, they're at my school. They're everywhere. Um, so it got pretty crazy. Like uh, it kind of ruined the experience because I just wanted it over with, right? I was so tired of
Yeah,
it. I wanted to get over with, which may have led me to do some things I probably shouldn't have done, but it was, yeah, it was pretty chaotic. And
hmm,
it was like one of those movies, like, what was that Bobby Benson movie? I don't know what, but people are offering this, offering that, offering my dad a
yeah, yeah.
job, my parents move, here's a car, here's like, it was crazy. It was crazy. So the whole experience was,
And what did they think of it? What did your parents think of it all? I mean,
it was
pretty
new to
strong
them
Lithuanian
too.
family. Yeah.
Yeah, it was new to them too. And
Hmm.
uh, you know, they're listening and but it's not like they can really advise me other than academics or things like that, right? and
Sure.
and these guys are all salesmen, right? So they're coming on putting best foot forward. Um so yeah, my dad was funny because like after a while you kind of knew what you can and can't do.
Sure.
And my dad would sit there, like he'd get them all drunk. He'd start pouring shots for the coaches. Then he'd go,
Yeah.
like my son, he doesn't have a car. And then they go, Mr. Rautins, you can't do that. And other ones would go, oh, don't worry, we can take care of that. So he was always like saying stuff like that. And I'm looking at him like, seriously, right? Um, but yeah, it was a crazy experience for sure.
And then how did you figure it out then? Like how did you come to decide that?
Um, like I said, I regret I didn't take more visits.
Mm,
I think I went to Marquette, Michigan, Syracuse, uh, Minnesota. But I should have, I should have taken more visits. But
hmm.
I had friends. So what happened was, I had a kid that moved from Minnesota to Toronto. 6'8", 6'9" kid, big guy. And he played with us at St. Mike's. His family, his dad got transferred for a year,
Hmm.
so he came and he was playing. He was a teammate of mine. So obviously they knew people in Minnesota. So Minnesota came in hot and heavy. And at the time they had Kevin McHale. The Big Ten was, a big time conference. They had Williams Arena, which was, I think, the one or two in attendance in the country. So I went down
Hmm.
there for a weekend, and they played Purdue with Joe Barry Carroll. They played Louisville with the Doctors of Dunk, Daryl Griffith, the
Oh
whole
yeah.
thing. So it
Oh
was a
yeah.
great weekend. It was a great weekend. It was a big time school. So, and I had people there, which again, that shouldn't have weighed into it, but Syracuse is right there. It was really close. Marquette just won the national championship, or were winning it that year.
Okay.
So they were big. No, they just won it. They just won it, and then they were recruiting me. So yeah, it was and like say Al McGuire, who just finished, he was good friends with Jack Donohue, so he'd call. Bobby Knight was good friends with Jack Donohue. Like I had all these, everybody's like trying different things, right? But so I end up coming in Marshall, West Virginia. Stu Aberdeen was a Canadian coaching at Marshall, West Virginia. So there's a lot of like big times from North Carolina was very. I just didn't think I was. They had Michael Corrin, a small forward. I didn't think I was going to play. I didn't think it worked out too well. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Judd Heathcote of a Michigan State said Magic and I are going to be the starting backcourt. And funny story with that. Years later,
Yeah.
Judd's retired, and I'm looking for some video. I had this really good game against Michigan State my freshman year at Michigan State, and I dunked on Magic and Kelser and those guys. I wanted a video, and I called the Michigan State basketball office. All of a sudden, Judd Heathcote gets on the phone, and he had this deep, booming voice like this. He goes, "Leo Rautins, Leo Rautins. I keep telling everybody we won the national championship, and you would have been on the court with Magic, and we would have been that much better." And I'm going like, Judd, please tell me you're screwing around. Please tell me you're joking. Because when you were sitting in my living room telling me Magic and I are going to be the starting backcourt, we're the same size. Like, I didn't believe you. I thought you're not going to have 2 6'8" guys in the backcourt, right? He goes, "No, that's what it was going to be." I'm going, "Oh, I want to cry. I want to cry, man." So, so obviously, I end up. So I went to Minnesota, and but I once and we had the best recruiting class in the country. It was ranked number one. We had it was so good that there was a kid, Kevin Stallings, who became a head coach at I think Purdue maybe, or Illinois, one of those places. Or he was a good coach in the Division One, few places, but he was player of the year in Illinois. And we're all playing pickup, and he walked in the gym. He's already signed, right? He walked in the gym. He goes, walked out, transferred. He goes, "I'll never play here." Right? And player of the year, right? And we had a lot of guys on
Yeah.
that team. I mean, Trent Tucker had an NBA career. Trent Tucker was a freshman with me. Like I said, Kevin McHale was on that team.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of guys, and but once I got there, things were a little different. Like I could have stayed there and had a good basketball career. I had a good rookie year. I could have, I wasn't worried about that. But you didn't go to day of class. They actually discouraged you. I go like I want to, it was actually funny because I went. The World Championships were in the Philippines, and
Yeah.
so the start of my freshman year, I'm playing in the World Championships. I literally land from Manila to Minnesota on October 15th, first day of practice, right? So now, fortunately, Minnesota's on what are the quarters, so class didn't start till end of September, so I didn't miss that much. But
It's October 15th today.
yeah, there you go, first day of practice. No wonder my knees hurt.
Yeah.
But what happened? So I actually, the team was already gone. I had to go to Minnesota, get my books, get my classes, right, and then I met the team in Manila. Like I had to fly to Manila, Philippines by myself because I had to get all my books. I'm getting ready. I'm a St. Mike's kid in Toronto. It's good students. I'm doing my work. I show up in class, after, and I'm so far ahead of my classes. I'm going, something's weird here. And I'm looking around my
Yeah.
classes going like, this is not good. This is not good. And so, like I said, I end up leaving there for academics being one of the reasons. Plus the program didn't have any discipline, but I think one credit transferred to Syracuse from Minnesota. That's how bad it was.
Oh man.
So, and I was going to go like, I
So
was a student athlete, right? I was a student athlete. I wanted a degree.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
going to play in the NBA, but
Mhm,
I wanted my degree. So,
mhm.
that was one of the reasons I left there.
So you mentioned just the lack of discipline. Was that just your perspective in terms of like we're not gonna be able to accomplish much on the court because it's just so chaotic behind the scenes? Like you have to go give all the gory details, but that's just in perspective
No, it was,
for someone who's getting the playing. Usually it's like I don't like this place, I don't like the coach, I don't like the playing time, but you have all that, but you're like this environment, there's something here,
oh yeah,
which
no,
is interesting. Yeah.
there was a lot of stuff going on, right? A lot of stuff going on. Guys getting paid, guys doing whatever they want. Not, no, it was pretty bad, right? Do we need to?
Hmm.
Are we okay here with the signal?
You're good.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah,
So no,
you're good.
it was pretty bad, and like I said, guys, guys doing crazy stuff, like uh, and it came down. So uh,
Hmm.
we had it was right before Christmas, and I'm not going to start this next game, and I'm going I'm a starter. And again, I'm not big on this whole start, but I'm a starter. But now you're taking me out for what? So and like
Right.
with all these other things going on, you know, I was like, I was ticked. I said, okay, you know what? I'm done with this
Hmm.
place. And I literally went back to my dorm room and I started packing my car. And we had this assistant coach, Stu Starner. He called me up. He goes, hey, come over to my place. Just come over to my place. So I went over to his place and we talked. We talked. He's don't go see coach tomorrow. Go meet with him. And the coach at the time was Jim Dutcher. And so I walk in his office the next day, and he had like whiteboard all over the office or blackboard, whatever it was, and he
Yeah.
wrote down like passing, defense, shooting, rebounding, all these categories, and then he rated everybody on the team. He goes, "Look, I want you to look." I go, "You're my best player." I said, "Okay, okay." So I'm your best player, and I'm not going to name a name, but because this guy is being, a douchebag, and
Yeah.
you can't get anything out of him, you're going to sacrifice me to see if you can get something out of him. Right? That's what you're
Mm.
saying? He goes, well, okay, look, if you want me to start, you can start. No, 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 no. You're not starting me because I said start me.
Yeah.
I'm saying you just told me I'm your best player. So anyway,
The math doesn't add up there. Yeah.
no, so I didn't leave, but and then this guy played, and again, same stuff happened. So I ended up back in the starting lineup the next game or whatever. But we didn't have a good year because we had all freshmen in the Big Ten,
Mm.
outside of Kevin McHale. And again, with all these things going on, it was a nightmare. Like every day was some garbage. So I said I got to get out of this place.
Hmm. Yeah, that's fair. Interesting. Um, yeah, the old NCAA. There's lots that happens, right? Like there's some glitz and glamour, but there's some chaos too.
Yeah, yeah. There was a lot of, like I said, it was much less regulated, and rules were broken pretty easily back then.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, so it was pretty crazy. But I just go out. Now I could have stayed there and had a great basketball career.
Sure.
In some ways, it was better than Syracuse for how I played, right?
Mm.
But it wasn't my thing.
Yeah, and you've been following your instincts and your circle of trust with the people around you your whole life. So why would you break from that? And
Oh,
you know,
also, also funny that so remember the Larry Bird rule. Remember Larry Bird was at Indiana State. No,
yeah,
Indiana transferred to Indiana.
yeah,
Well, he got drafted when his class graduated, right?
okay,
Because he had to sit out, so his class graduated,
yeah,
and then that team, Boston, who drafted him, had until the next draft to sign him, or he goes back in the draft.
hmm,
So when I was leaving Minnesota, I go, you know what? I got nothing to lose because I can get drafted twice. I can
right,
get drafted when my class graduates,
yeah,
or I sign, or I go back in the draft.
hmm.
And what do? A year later, they changed the rule, right? I go, yeah,
That's crazy. Well, then so then you move on to Syracuse, things go well, good
I actually signed
years.
with Marshall. I signed with
Oh,
Marshall.
no way.
Yeah, yeah. After something like I wanted something really positive for me.
Sure. Yeah.
And Stu Aberdeen, again, Canadian guy, a great recruiter. He recruited the Bernie show for Tennessee, Albert King and Bernard King and Ernie Grunfeld. He was a great recruiter. So I really believed that he was going to build something big time at Marshall.
Mm,
And he spent a lot of time recruiting me, and the program was going to be mine. It was going to be built around me. So I'm going, you know what? Like I was really close with Syracuse, so it
yep.
was now down to like Syracuse, Marquette, Marshall, and then I finally I said, I'm going to go there. But here's a crazy story with that. Bernie Fine was an assistant at Syracuse, and he was primarily recruiting me through my 2 years now. And so I go visit Marshall, and I come back, and Bernie calls me. He goes, "So are you coming to Syracuse?" I said, "Well, we should talk." Now it's a 4 hour drive minimum from Syracuse to Toronto. Bernie met me at my high school 3 hours flat, right? And so we actually we went on a tennis court. He goes, so we're banging a ball back and forth, and we're talking, and he goes, "What about Stu Aberdeen's health?" I go, "Are you serious? Come on, Bernie, man, you've been cool through this whole thing, but now you're going to tell me I'm going to go to Marshall and this guy's going to drop dead? Seriously? Like what kind of crap?" 3 weeks later, he dropped dead.
No way.
Yeah, we were in Italy. So I said I'm going to Marshall.
Yeah.
I'm away in Italy with the Canadian team. We land at I think it was Kennedy or wherever, yeah, Kennedy, and Jack Donohue pulls me aside. He had picked up a New York Post or whatever, and he saw it, and he told me, I go, "You got to be kidding me, right?" And so I was pretty excited about going there. I thought it was going to be a good thing,
Hmm.
but I literally walked in the door after we got back home, and Syracuse is on the phone. Like they're
Mm,
going, like they never gave up. So Syracuse recruited me 3 times to get me.
yeah.
So it's pretty crazy.
Holy, that's a wild story. Holy
Yeah,
smokes. Yeah.
yeah.
That is wild. Um, how are you managing all of it between national team, high level Division 1, knowing that your future, you really want to, focus on getting drafted. And when you look back at it all, like, and I'm sure you've had the opportunity to speak to many young people out there. I mean, your son's played and stuff like that, but what advice would you give to someone knowing what you've been through and how it all, like your 4 or 5 years of time there is a total whirlwind between high school and college. Like there's a lot going on there, which makes your
Yeah.
story so unique. When you reflect on it, what are some things that come to mind for you?
Well, and even it was a rough start at Syracuse too. Like when I
Yeah.
started there, um, and and a lot of kids, like I think they maybe have a better understanding now. Obviously, with the whole AAU thing we talked about, but
Hmm.
kids, you realize when you go to a Syracuse, when you go to a North Carolina, when you go to those schools, every guy is going there thinks he's going to the NBA.
Yeah.
So you're entering a very different environment. Uh, and like I said, it's like every guy is in there for them, right? And so you got to be ready for that mentally.
Hmm.
And like I said, Jim Boeheim and I love Coach, but we had a rough start. Like we had a rough start, and I had so much experience playing for Canada in Europe, like in Italy and play. I loved it, and I was so mad at what was going on, some of the stuff, and I almost thought about, okay, forget college. I'm just going to go play in Europe, right?
Hmm.
Because I had offers.
Hmm.
Um, but then I even after Stu Aberdeen died, before I signed with Syracuse, I had an offer because we just got back from Italy,
Hmm.
and my dad just finally looked at me and goes, "What are you, stupid?" It's like I said, "Okay," but I think the big thing is, like I've told my boys that you know what, have fun.
Mm.
Seriously, like stop worrying about everything. Like just
Mm.
have fun. One day you're going to look back and go, man, I wish I could play. I wish I could dunk. I
Yeah.
wish I could jump. You can't. It's gone. It's done.
Yeah.
Right. And when you're there, you spend so much time thinking about stuff that just doesn't matter. Who
Yeah.
cares? Who cares about all this stuff? Go on the court every day. Try to get better.
Hmm.
Like, and forget about that guy or that guy. Try to you get better for you,
Mm.
right? Get better. Do what you got to do. Listen, and just enjoy it. Enjoy every day of it. Because I watch players, everybody. There's so much stuff you hear this or this, and
Yeah.
who cares? When
Yeah.
in the end you realize none of it mattered, right? So just have a good time. You're
Yeah.
playing basketball, man. Play as long as you can play. Have fun every single day you go into the gym, and don't get caught up in the garbage. You
Yeah.
know, because that's all it is. It's there's so much talk, and I feel bad for kids now with social media and everything else. There's
That's what I was
way
gonna
more.
say. Yeah.
There's way more, right?
It's intense.
But don't be afraid to shut it off because, hey, think about it. You're worried about somebody's opinion on a free app where you got some guy in his basement that doesn't know anything, that's just talking trash. Like, who cares? Like,
Hmm.
who cares? But it's hard for a kid to think that way.
Absolutely.
But I think it's so. Like, I remember Jamal Murray. I
Mm.
remember one of the things that impressed me. I was talking to his dad. He didn't have any social media and nothing,
Mm.
nothing. Leaving, going through college and all that. I thought
Hmm.
that's great because you don't need it. Like at that stage, and I get it. Everybody, like, it drives me nuts. Everybody's working out with a trainer. You know what? First of all, some of the stuff you're doing with your trainers are a waste of time. I hate to tell you folks that, right? Second thing is, like, if you got to show me how hard you're working, really?
Are you really working that hard?
Are you
Yeah.
really
No.
working out hard?
Yeah.
Because trust me, I was in the gym and nobody was filming me at midnight. Okay, nobody was filming me when I
On the
was sneaking
grind.
in gyms and hanging off the Raptors to get into the gym. Nobody was filming me, and and it's pretty boring filming somebody just working on his left hand over and over and over, right?
Yeah.
Instead of coming out doing these. So don't get caught up in all that, man. Just like work hard and have fun. Like really, just enjoy it. It's a game, you know.
And it is like, basketball is, it's so pure in that sense too, right? Where like literally you just need a hoop and a pair of shoes and maybe and a
How many
decent ball.
sports can you
Yeah.
get better by yourself?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
I can become a great shooter by myself. I can
Yeah.
become a great
Literally.
ball handler by myself. I can become a good defender by working my lateral speed. I can go in the gym, and that's what I loved about it. Like,
Hmm.
I don't understand. I don't understand. Uh, okay, one of the things I love. Okay, I think to be a great player, you have to have
Hmm.
imagination.
Yes.
Okay, I used to tell kids, "Hey, you ever heard of what is it, Doctor J, Wilt something, Stilt?" And kids are yelling out the names, right? I said, "I killed them all. I killed them all. Oh man, Larry Bird, I crushed them." And they're looking at me like, I said, "They weren't there,
Mm.
but I killed them because they were here." And what
Yeah.
I did is, like, I'm in my driveway. I'm pretending I'm playing against these guys. If you saw me in the gym, I'm doing this, I'm faking, I'm doing all this. I had imagination,
Yeah.
right? I think you got to have imagination to be a great player. You just can't go stand out there and shoot. You don't get a shot like that in a game. So I was always playing against somebody. Um, and Remind me a Dr. J story about that. But
Hey.
so, like, and I watch guys. I remember when I was coaching a national team the first summer.
Mm.
Like, I liked it when, okay, so I don't believe in double sessions, that on a national team scale, because guys are, you need to, some of you guys need to weight train, get ready for the next season. I don't want anybody exhausted. So what I would do is have a walkthrough in the morning. We're going to put in, because I hated practice stop, talk. Okay, I don't want to do that. So here's what we're doing. This is what we're going to put in. This is the offense. Okay. Any questions? We talk about it. Okay, we walk through. Now you go. You want to go lift? Go lift. You want to go shoot? Shoot. Work on your game. That was our morning, right?
Mm.
And then in the evening, we're going to say we got a 2-hour slot. We're going to work. We're not stopping. We're working. We're going bang, 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 bang. And you know what? If we work great, we could be done in 45 minutes. If we work great, we could, or maybe it's an hour and a half, maybe it's the full 2 hours. But I'm going by how the practice is going, right? And I wanted energy. So, but one of the things that blew me away was, so I tell guys, okay, get some shots up. They go, can we shoot with a coach? I go, sure. Like if you told me to go shoot with a coach, I go like, I don't want to shoot with a coach.
Coach,
I want
yeah,
to do my thing. Like I want to
yeah,
bum, 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 bum. And then all of a sudden you'd have five guys line up, shoot, get the ball. Next guy shoot, get the ball. And they just do, they do drills.
mhm,
Everybody's doing drills. There's
yeah,
no imagination, man. Everybody's doing drills, right? And I
right,
like it floored me. Cause I'm going like, I would shoot myself if I had to do drills every day like that. I
yeah,
don't want that. I want to work on my own game, my own rhythm, my own right.
mhm,
Um, so like that's how it's changed. But so I think I was telling you, so this imagination thing. So I
yeah,
tell kids, you know, I'm playing against Dr. J Ray. So and so I visualized that, right? I visualized I was playing against that. And I've been telling kids for years. But I had this poster of Dr. J next to my bed like everybody else. I was sleeping
yeah,
next to the guy for years.
yeah,
And so all of a sudden I get drafted by, you know, the Sixers. And so I'm down now. It's getting towards getting ready for camp and stuff. And so that we had this, I worked out with the rookies in the morning. We did some stuff. I came back and played. We practiced at St. Joe's University, so the college guys. So I came down, played with those guys, and it was this golf event we had to go to. I'm not a golfer, but we had to go. So I go over there, and then there's this huge room, and it's empty, and I'm standing there talking to somebody, and the door opens way to the other side. Guess who walks in? Dr. J.
the man himself,
Right, and
yeah,
I'm going,
yeah,
whoa.
oh,
So, and Doc's just cool. Walks all the way across the room, right to me, sticks his hand out. Hey, Julius Irving, like nice to meet you. I'm going like, I know,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And it's so like, like I tell
Did you
kids
play
if
it cool?
Michael, I was cool,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
inside
yeah,
I'm going, oh
yeah,
Jesus, is that
no doubt,
and then that was my Michael Jordan, right?
of course,
So, and then he says, hey, listen, now you got me. I can't feel my legs. I already had two workouts, and we got to do this golf thing. He goes, "Listen, I'm going to work out tonight. You want to come work out with me?" I go, "Hell yeah,
yeah,
okay, right." And so as soon as this thing was over, and I think we went to work out about 10 o'clock at night. But I went home, and I called all everybody I could. I go, "Hey, look, I can't talk long. Doc and I got to go work out, right?" So now we're playing. So it was Andrew Toney, which was the toughest two guard anywhere, right?
yep.
This guy Charles Jones had a long NBA career, brother of Caldwell Jones, who played with the Sixers for
Oh,
a long
okay,
time,
okay,
and then Doc. So we're playing. We're actually playing cutthroat 1-on-1.
oh
You
wow,
know, you score, you stay on, right? And I got the ball. All of a sudden, I look up and there's Doc, like stretched out, hands this big, right in
yeah,
front of me. And you know what? And I was
yeah, I've been
I've been
here,
there before. I've been here, right? I played against him in my driveway. I played against him in my high school. I've been here, right? So when you talk about visualization and imagination, I can I can tell you for a fact that I was there before, and it felt comfortable, right? It
hmm,
felt comfortable. We're playing. It felt great, you know.
that
So
is
yeah,
so cool.
yeah. So when I tell kids that, I always tell them it made a difference, you know.
Okay, but how did it go?
Uh,
Uh,
Doc won.
yeah, okay.
Doc won the round. Uh,
I know you remember this. So,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, he
yeah,
won.
yeah,
I I had Andrew Toney was on me on one. I had the ball, and I went down, drove. I went up, faked him. He went up, and I went up, and I just sliced his chin like 8 stitches, like all the way down.
oh,
I'm going, oh, dude, man, I'm sorry. Like he got skin hanging, like his
oh
blood.
yeah,
This is cutthroat 1-on-1. We're just a
yeah,
bunch of guys in a gym, right?
yeah.
We played another hour with his stuff hanging, right? He just don't worry about it. It's all good. Don't worry about it. I remember that as much as anything else, but that's how tough this guy was.
That's gold. Oh man, so many good stories.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we move on, right? Obviously, the draft process, playing overseas, the NBA. You finally get there. Maybe it doesn't go exactly kind of how you imagined, but I mean, I think we've had so many people on this show where at times we get caught up with that NBA or WNBA lifestyle, but then we realize, and like you said already, like I was already thinking to myself, man, maybe I just go overseas and not play college or whatever, right? So how did that next sort of step for you go? And then one thing I'm interested in, obviously, with time and everything and respect for your time, just sort of curious when you started to visualize and see yourself as a coach, and thought maybe that would be something that you would want to do. I'm just interested to know that portion of it. I just did what I normally do on this show and ask 48 questions in one. That's my
That's all right.
That's my ADD right there. So I'll let you unfold it. You obviously are smooth on the mic, so I would just sit back and listen because I'd love to hear what you have to say on that.
Well, so like what killed me
Mm,
were injuries.
mm,
I literally uh, rookie training camp. I'm Jack McMahon, assistant coach, told Phil Jasner of Philadelphia Inquirer, "This is the best first day we've ever had, and any rookie." And that night, I got food poisoning. I went to dinner to celebrate my new contract. I got food poisoning. I couldn't. I was done. I was like, we went to Princeton, New Jersey for a mini camp after our camp. I could hardly run up and down the court. I was sick for a week
oh,
and a half. I was just dying. And then first week of the season, Bobby Jones was up for a jump shot. I land on his foot, almost break my ankle. Actually, it would have been better had I broken it. And
right.
you got to remember, it's not like today.
Yeah. Yep.
You sprain your ankle, you might not play for a month. Let's make sure you're okay. Take care of this. I Okay, it's my right foot. I had to drive myself to the hospital.
And up to
Well,
this
you're
point, were
right.
you pretty healthy guy?
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
no, I no,
yeah.
I had surgeries at Syracuse, right?
Yeah.
I had three surgeries on my knee when I was at Syracuse,
Okay.
and so I already started having issues, right?
Yeah.
I partially tore my ACL. I had other things that have happened, so yeah. So my body was breaking down in a lot of
Hmm.
ways. Uh, but like I said, I landed on Bobby Jones's foot. Like try driving. You got an automatic car. Your right foot's your gas. I couldn't even like.
Yeah.
I had I hopped to the thing anyway. So
Driving
here's what
yourself
they
is
did.
nuts. That's
Yeah,
nuts. Yeah.
and like the trainer's like, yeah, you got to go here. I didn't even know where
Yeah.
the hospital is, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just a new guy in Philly, and then my ankle's like this big. The doctor drains my ankle. You
Oh,
don't do that.
no.
You don't do that, right? Drains my ankle. Go home, put some ice on it. We had a game in like 2 days, and the GM Pat Williams is calling me saying, "You're going to be ready, right? You're going to be good. You're going to be good to go, right? Yeah, I'm like, yeah, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sitting there, my ankle's like a grapefruit, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you're playing now. They don't even tape you properly, right? Don't
Right.
even So I'm trying to do this. Um, and this goes on for a month or two. And now I get up in the morning. I have to hop to the bathroom or crawl. I can't walk. That's how bad
Mhm.
it is. I go to My agent gets me, which I should have done at the beginning, gets me a doctor in New York. I go see, and not my lateral ligaments are torn, and I have a stress fracture from playing on it.
Oh, yeah.
So now, so those 2 months are kind of lost, and now I got like this half cast, and I'm basically done till April, almost April. And so now everybody's saying, well, injury prone, you're injury prone. I get, and because it was very differently. Even when I came back from this half cast, the doctors told me to tape with this moleskin tape. It's very tough. And the trainer go, we don't have that. And like Bobby Jones is sitting there. He's going like, he's pointing over there, like it's under there, right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
go, I go get it. I find it. I tape my own ankles,
Yeah.
right? The league was very different,
Hmm.
and so I think oftentimes how you start dictates how it goes.
Sure.
And I kind of had a rough start, and then I ended up getting traded on a salary cap deal to Indiana,
Hmm.
right? So all kinds of things happened, which because the crazy thing was my junior year at Syracuse, We were playing in a Big East tournament, and again, this is right after. So I had surgery on my knee, and I missed about a month altogether. But I'm literally not even 10 days after surgery, and we're playing in a Big East tournament, and Jack Donohue's sitting with Red Auerbach at the game. They were very good friends,
Wow.
and I had a really good. I almost had. I had 20 something, 14 rebounds, like 8 or 9 assists, whatever it was. We lose at the buzzer to Boston College. But, tell you the kind of game I made all tournament of a three game tournament in one game, and a game we lost.
Right.
So,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
so Red Auerbach was there, and he told Jack that if I come out, he will take me. I would have killed to be a Boston Celtic, right? Um, and but then it came down to they would have the last pick because they're always in the finals. And if they don't take you, and nobody can guarantee anything, then you slide, right?
Right.
But I was worried because of my knees at that time. I'd rather, but I didn't do it. And then funny, the next year when I do get drafted, Red Auerbach met with my agent the night before the draft and said they were trying to move up to get me because they had again the last pick of the first round, I think, but they couldn't get me. So yeah, so all kinds of things happen. They change the course of things and all that, and it's really funny. Jack Donohue said something to me that I dismissed. The 80, so I get drafted in 83. The Olympics are in 84. And Jack says, why don't you go to Europe for a year? You can play in the Olympics. I just got drafted by the NBA champions, right?
Yeah.
And you're young and cocky, but if I would have stopped, I did ask my agent what my value would be, but I think I got playing with Dr. J and Bobby Jones in my position.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I could have been. I was drafted by the world champions, so I could have been the highest paid player in Italy had I said, "Let's go to do that for a year." I'd still be property of the Sixers,
Right.
and then they could, if Dr. J retires, Bobby Jones retires, whatever, they could sign me or trade me, right? If there's everybody, I don't have regrets. Whatever happens, happens. This is what you do. If there's one thing I could change, I would have listened to Jack. I would have been able to play in the 84 Olympics in LA. That was my guys. Those were all my guys, right?
Yeah.
I could have played in 84 Olympics. I could have been the highest paid player in Italy, and I could have come back to the NBA. And maybe the NBA health, who knows health-wise, but maybe because of the way it started, I think kind of pushed me out. So maybe the longevity of the NBA could have been very different. Instead, it was the other way around with Europe. But that's the only thing. Whenever I look back on, I'll go, that might have been the thing to do. That might have been the thing to do. But I was too young and cocky to see it.
Well, I mean, you talked about it from early on. At a super young age, you're like, I'm going to be an NBA player, right? And so that was kind of that mindset, right? Even from super young age, chasing your brother around, it was always a focus for you. So I don't think that's a knock to, it's, who knows?
No,
And
like I said, there's no regret, right? It's no regret. It's just one of those things where you look back on, okay, if there's one thing could have done a little different, that would have been it, right? But then I ended up going. Again, I had a few knocks on the door with the NBA. There was always something, like always like whether somebody lied about a contract, whether somebody this says something, there was always something. So I ended up going to Europe, and I loved it. I had a great time playing in Italy, Spain, France. Other than trying to get your money, I love playing over there. It was a lot of fun. It was a great experience.
You didn't. We had just recently had Mike Kabongo on the show. He talked about getting bags of money from the cartel when he was in Mexico. You didn't have to do yeah. He's like, everybody's got some. You never know what you're getting, right?
Hey, I know guys that literally tape $100,000 to their body and fly home with the cash, right?
Yeah.
there's the unbelievable, like we could start now and talk for a week on
Yeah.
stories like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But you asked about the coaching, so
Yeah.
I didn't really think about the coaching too much
Okay.
because I already, in my mind, I had a plan. Like I was gonna, I at the same time I told you I knew I was going to be an NBA player. I knew I was going to be in broadcasting. I
Mm.
actually went to my
You
high
went
school
back to school,
coach.
right?
Yeah, no.
Or that you-
Well, my high school coach,
Okay.
so at Syracuse,
Yeah.
they have the SI Newhouse School of Public Communications, which is supposedly the #1 school in the country. And
Okay.
I took broadcast journalism.
Yeah.
And but I went to my high school coach in ninth grade. I said, we mentioned math earlier. No math. I don't want nothing to do with
Yeah.
math. I said, but look, I said, Coach, I'm going to play in the NBA. I like people. I can write. I can talk. Like what? And we came up with journalism.
Wow.
So we had a plan. I'm like NBA player, journalism
Hmm.
at ninth grade. So and then the best advice I ever got, and this is something good for
How though? I was
kids.
so stupid when I was in grade 9. You're already thinking about your career. I'm
Well,
like,
yeah, it was weird, but it's weird, but I can't figure it
yeah.
out. But I tell you, the best advice I got in college, I had a professor that said, your degree means nothing.
Mm,
It means nothing.
agree.
Your resume means everything. And I'm sitting there going like, I'm in school. What resume? What are you talking about? Right? What do you mean a resume? Right?
Hmm.
And so he said, build a resume. So what I did as I was playing, so for example, between my rookie year and my next year in the NBA, I couldn't play in the Olympics, but I did the broadcast. I broadcast for CBC. I did radios for CBC. When I was in Italy, I wrote for the Corriere dello Sport, Italian newspaper, right?
Mm,
I had a column in that paper. Every time I was injured or couldn't play, I started doing Syracuse games for cable. And then, so what happened? So if you want to flash forward to 1994, the World Championships are in Toronto.
yep.
The Bitov Group is hosting because they want to get the NBA. So this is their kind of show. CTV is doing the game. So I interview, and guess what? I had a resume,
Mm,
right? Like they didn't expect that. They thought, okay, let's ask Leo for an interview. He played the whole bit, and I had a resume.
mm,
So, and I was doing TV and stuff. So, and that was my intro to the Raptors,
right.
right? Um, yeah, so that was the best advice.
That's awesome.
Whenever, if I'm injured, okay, do something else, do something else, do something else, right? So, and the coaching, I never really thought about it too much. Steve Kochalski, when he was coaching the national team, he had a big man camp in Toronto, and he asked me if I would come down, and I had a great time. Like I had a great time working with these guys. Had a lot of fun, and he wanted me actually to help him with the national team. And so I didn't want to go on as like an official coach, but I said I'd love to go with you and help you as like the same thing I'm kind of doing with this camp, right?
Yep.
But for some reason they wouldn't let him take me, which again there was a lot of politics back then, all kinds of other stuff. But and then when the team started having some problems, after Ken Shields and after some other stuff went on, I wanted to coach not because I necessarily wanted to be a coach, but I wanted to for the program. Like the
Yeah.
program meant so much to me. I wanted to help the program. I knew a lot of things had to change, how the program does business, how it connects with the community, what the perception is. I just knew it. There was a lot of things that had to change. Had to change. So I wanted to. That meant a lot to me.
Hmm.
So I wanted to get involved with that. And fortunately, I had an opportunity, and it was great. I loved it. It's there was so many other things involved. Like you worry about money every day. You can't get here. You can't do
Yeah.
this. You can't do that. So that was not enjoyable at all. But the coaching the guys and being with the guys, and and we changed. I think we changed a lot of how business is done because there was a perception of Canada basketball being an old boys network, racist,
Yep.
this, that. And I made sure I went to communities. People go, hey, nobody's ever been here before.
Yeah.
So why? Why not? We're Canada basketball. We should be there. It was an all black tournament in Nova Scotia going, what are you doing here? I said, because you guys are playing. I'm here. Watch. I want to see
Yeah.
you. Uh, like all these, you know, I try to connect with AAU guys. I try to give them, all that stuff. Because and going to players say, hey, I don't care black, white, yellow, green. I don't care if you're 15. I don't care if you're 30. Can you play?
Hmm.
You know, and so I think we changed. We realized that our best talent were the young kids. Like at that time, like the Tristan Thompsons, the Corey Josephs, all those
Yep.
guys, they were all kids. They
Yep.
were our future, right? And what we had at the top wasn't the level we needed to be at. So
Sure.
we had to focus on the bottom
Yep.
and nurture these kids. So I think a lot of things changed with Canada basketball during that time. So I really enjoyed that opportunity to try to impact that because it meant so much to me.
Yeah. Did you make it up this summer when they had the event before the boys took off for the Olympics, where they had the alumni and everything? Were you there for
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
We had what, 5 or 6 Olympic teams.
Yeah.
So I think out of 60 potential guys,
Yeah.
like I think 48 made it or 49. Obviously,
Yeah.
there was some illnesses. Some people passed away, sadly,
Yeah.
and some people had some commitments that just couldn't get out of. But almost everybody, and this was put together. Like Rowan called me. I was in Mexico. I was in Cabo, and Rowan calls me like at 7 o'clock in the morning, and he tells me this idea. I go like, "Are you kidding me? It's fantastic."
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
and so I've had a connection with the program, right? So,
Sure.
but there's a lot of guys that played and felt like, okay, thanks, see you later. Nobody
Yeah.
cares. And it's not a good feeling, right?
Hmm.
And I know that they're doing everything they can to change that. But guys are just kind of dismissed.
Yeah.
So almost everybody got the phone call and everybody said, I'm in, I'm in, I'm in.
Hmm.
Uh, and we had a chance to. So one, it was great for us to see each other, right? It was like stories were going all night. It was
Yeah.
fantastic. And
Yeah.
then we got to hang out with the players, see the players, chat with the players. We shared some of our experiences,
Hmm.
just to let them know how important, just how different it is playing for your country. You can play anywhere you want. There's nothing like representing your country. You can win
Hmm.
an NBA championship. It's not the same as winning a medal for your country. There's
Hmm.
so many different things to it that we kind of shared our experiences and talked about that, and it was great. I mean, the guys were uh, very respectful to everybody, and I think received the message
Yeah.
well. We told them how proud we were of what they had accomplished already, like with last summer at the Worlds and then the Olympics. Or so 2 summers ago, and then the Olympics last summer. Just talking to them about the impact. The Raptors, when they won the championship in 2019, that changed. I mean, that impacted the game of basketball so much in our country.
Hmm.
I told these guys, you win a medal at the Olympics, that's going to surpass that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's gonna surpass that,
Hmm.
because that's an all Canadian product now we're talking about. That's that, and sports unifies a country. It unified it with the Raptors, but when you're with the national team, it's even more so. So we told them how proud we were of what they've been doing, and I tell you what, these guys all represent Canada really well too.
I'd agree.
They're good guys. I mean, we're lucky. You meet these guys like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Here's an MVP candidate, and he is one of the nicest people. Grinder, works hard, humble. We got a lot of those guys, right?
Yeah.
That good people.
Hmm.
So we got a lot to be proud of, and I think people got to realize when they want to get critical of the team that it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. You roll the dice, and you're playing France in France to move on.
Oof.
Like, and you can say, yeah, so what? You got all these NBA guys. No, they got NBA guys too, right? The whole world's got NBA guys now,
Yep.
and it's a different world when you're playing in FIBA, and a lot of things got to come together, and you got to have some luck, and but these guys are going to be knocking on the door for a while now, so it's pretty exciting.
I agree. Yeah, that's awesome. I get a couple buddies that were on the 2000 team, and they were really thrilled to be able to go out there too and hang with Johnny Lee and
Oh
probably
yeah, Johnny.
stay up late and have too many beers, Mavis and Heinrichsen. So that's a good time. And that's how you do it though, from where, you talk about the purpose of you hopping on with Coach, Konchelski, obviously great guy. And he approaches you, you're like, how do you say no to that guy? Right. But
Oh
also
hey.
where it was then and then where it is now, and building community and bringing you guys back, and understanding the past and that it matters. I think those are important things to do, and I think they've done a great job with all that stuff. So it's
Yeah,
awesome.
I know they have. They have.
Mhm.
I did forget on coaching. I did turn down a job with the Raptors. They offered me opportunity to coach.
Yeah.
Well, Isaiah Thomas did, and
Yeah.
I, I I just it wasn't the right time.
Yeah.
There was a little chaos within the organization with Isaiah and this. It just wasn't the right time. But
Hmm.
so there was an opportunity there. But when you talk about the national team, our buddy James Defoe, right? I don't know. Did he ever tell you about our emergency money?
No,
So when like I told you, there wasn't a lot of money, right?
he
There's
told
like
some great
it's
stories though. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
not a lot of
That
money.
some dark days for Canada basketball
Oh,
back then.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you,
Yeah.
like we travel, someplace that take us like 23 hours to get there, and you're at the airport going, wait a minute, we could be there in 8 hours. Like, why is like just like so when we'd have emergency money on the road, so if
Hmm.
something happens, so I don't know, like 5,000, 7,000, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I told James, I said, James, we don't come home with emergency money.
Yeah.
We have emergencies. Do you understand me? I said, are you with me here? Okay. So whether
Yeah.
that's you got to get receipts, man. You got to get receipts, laundry, whatever. Just come up with receipts.
Yeah.
Everything. This whole problem with this hotel. Just get receipts.
Yeah.
But we do not come home with the emergency money. And so what I did was I took the emergency money and like, hey, you got guys that are committing their summer to playing, right?
Yes.
So when we're near Venice, we're all going into Venice. I'm taking everybody out to a great dinner. We're in the Canary Islands. We get on a boat, go whale, dolphin, whatever, watching. Like we're going to spend that money to make as much fun as we can for the guys on our trips.
Yeah.
And so that was the rule. I said that there's got to be red wine on my table
Yep.
for dinner, and then
Yep.
and then on top of the emergency money being used, he's got to help on top of the receipts. He's got to go explore. Like he'll come up to me and go, okay, Canary Islands, they got this boat cruise. We can get the guys on that. He goes, okay, all right, all right. So he had a he had to multitask on that.
I love it. He was good at it. And
No,
and
he was
okay.
great.
And so it's
Huh?
true. You were David Hasselhoff for Ransford. He
Oh,
he got pulled out in the water. Hey,
so
I
I
text
don't know
him
if
and he
he told
said
you.
I text Rans after and he said I was gonna fight. I was gonna do what I can, but he's like, I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't sure if I was gonna make it. Like it was real.
Yeah,
So, yeah. And then James sent me this picture of everybody like minutes after, and they're all just sitting there, just slumped.
it looked like death.
Yeah,
Gray. It was
yeah,
gray.
yeah. It did not look good.
I tell you, careful, shot. Um, so okay, so here's how it started. So what I did was we go on a trip. Again, it takes 2 days to get somewhere. You
Yeah,
get somewhere. What do coaches want to do? Okay, let's go practice. Let's go in the gym.
yeah,
Let's get moving.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah, you got to get moving.
yeah.
But if Isaiah Thomas said something to me a long time ago, he goes, never forget how you felt as a player,
Mm,
right? When you're coaching.
mm.
So if I feel like crap, if I'm tired, well, you got to be tired, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I remember, so we go to Puerto Rico this one time, and we're literally on the ocean. Beautiful hotel, Marriott Isla Verde, beautiful. And so Sam Gibbs is our trainer, and so I tell the guys, okay, grab a quick bite, everybody in the lobby, ready to go, 6 o'clock, even in the evening. It's like you could see guys' faces go,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I tell Sam, as soon as they come down the lobby, everybody in the ocean. Everybody goes in the ocean. And we had some dudes that never been in the ocean, right? I go,
Right.
no, no, no. You want to play, you go in the ocean. So yeah, so that became kind of a thing, right? You think you're going to practice, but you're going to the ocean.
Hmm.
And all it is get your body back, right? Tomorrow we'll practice.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we'll play. Right now, let's just get your blood flowing, right? So this one story with Rams, we go to the Canary Islands, and like I said, it's gloomy, gray, dark. And I tell the guys same thing. They think we're going to practice. We pull up on this cliff, and I go, okay, get your stuff off in the ocean. Guys are going like, we got a bunch of new guys. And I go, what? I go, and so I said, look, you're going in the ocean, so go. That's it. You're going. So I finally go down. I'm in there, and some guys are in there, and I'm about knee deep, and I go, whoa, this pull is strong. There's
Mm.
a. I said, so I'm going. Hey guys, come in. No sooner than I do that, there's this kid Jordan from out in mid. I forget his first name. He's going. Rans is drowning. Rans is drowning. Right. So I'm going. So I'm a good swimmer, right? So I tell this guy, get out of the water. He goes, I'll help you. I said, get out. So I go diving and I go swim to Rans. And everybody's getting out. I go to Rans. So I get to Rans. Now Rans is my size. He's a big boy.
Yeah, he's a
right?
big boy. Yep.
So he's going, what's the first thing he does? He grabs me like this, and like we're both going down.
Yeah.
Like he's in panic mode. And so I had to like underwater, like get out and like push him away from me. I grabbed his shorts though, so because there was a strong current. I want to make sure I had him. And so he gets out. We're both out of the water. He's like, don't let go. Don't let go. I said, man, it's okay. It's okay. So the big thing you got to remember in salt water, you're not going to drown.
Right.
You'll drown if you panic.
Yes.
But if you I said, get on your back. Rans, we could float for days. Just get on your back. Just be cool. Right? Relax. So I don't want to. It's okay. We're gonna be fine. Don't leave me. No, I'm not leaving you. I'm here. I'm with you. Right.
Yeah.
So he's on his back, and I'm trying to say, be cool, be calm. I said, Rance, get your strength back, and when you start feeling stronger, we'll start swimming. But when it can't swim this way, we got to swim that way because of this current. And he goes, okay. Now I'm trying to be cool here, right?
Yeah,
but we're going up and down like this, and the waves like up and down. And every time we come down, we're further away.
Yeah.
And I'm looking back. All I can picture is like, Toronto song,
Yeah.
players drowning, like I'm going, what the hell? But like we're moving. But now I do know that, okay, people know we're out there. So help is coming. At some point, help is coming.
Yeah.
So we start swimming a little bit on the back, swimming a little bit. Finally, a couple guys on surfboards show up. And then, we come back in. Mm-hmm. And we get there. Rand is like, oh, you see. So like we had our hug. But what's crazy is that you don't understand because the energy, right? The energy. Like we went back to the hotel, and I went in my room and I called my wife, and I literally dropped the phone. I couldn't hold my arms up anymore.
Yeah.
Like I went boom. I woke up like 3 hours later.
Yeah.
It's just from that the adrenaline, right, of trying to make it all okay. But yeah, that was so the ocean thing was our thing, but it almost became a real bad thing.
Yeah. You got your bodies back though, eh?
But here's a funny one.
Yeah.
So in Puerto Rico, I told you we started that trip going in the ocean, right? So now we went. So we're trying to qualify for the World Championship. So we switched hotels. We're in a different hotel now during the tournament. Well, nobody thought we'd qualify for the Worlds, right? We're playing Dominican Republic. They got Al Horford, Francisco, whatever. I forget the name, but they got Charlie Villanueva. They got 60 million in NBA players.
Yeah.
So nobody thinks we're going to win anything. So we win. We qualify for the Worlds. So I go up to my boss, Wayne Parrish, after the game. He's sitting in the stands and Wayne, go to the Marriott where we stayed before. I said, get drinks, get food. I'm going to get the bus. We're all going there. Right. Don't tell anybody. Just go. So he took off. He went. And so after a game, you got to do the P test. You got, the press conference. Finally, we're done. And we're all everybody's in their uniforms. Everybody showers at the hotel, right?
Yeah.
So we get on this bus and we're going to the other hotel. The guys don't realize it yet. So after a little bit, I could hear guys. I'm in the front. I could hear them go, "Hey, where are we going? Like, isn't this like the other hotel, right?" And so we get to the other hotel, and we stop. And guys look at what's going on, right? So I said, "Hey, we started this trip in the ocean. We're going to finish this trip in the ocean. Let's go." Right? And this is 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Now, you got to picture this. When you walk into the hotel lobby, on your left, there's a salsa band and people dancing and singing.
Okay.
So you got to go around the people this way to the doors that take you to the ocean.
Yeah.
But there's no way. You got to go through the main lobby and around everybody. We got guys screaming, yelling, ripping their clothes off, uniforms coming off. Some guys are already half naked. Some guys are just in their jock straps or tights or whatever, running through this lobby. The managers are running behind them, picking up gear, right? And everybody goes into the ocean, right? And we just kind of got together, said, hey, we started this thing here. Nobody said we could do it, but you guys did it, right? So we kind of huddled up in the ocean. And then the guys had a great time. We had
Awesome.
Wayne took care of it. We had drinks and food right by the beach there. So we had it was a nice little celebration because these guys went through a lot of shit, right?
Yeah,
Because
man.
frankly, we weren't that good.
Yeah.
We weren't as talented, and we didn't have the resources. So we dealt with a lot of shit, but we were developing, right? Like on the outside, people going, well, why can't you win? But on the inside, we're going, okay, we're hitting here, we're hitting here, we're hitting here. So we knew where we're going. But, so these guys been through a lot.
Yeah.
And Jesse Young had a great line that Jesse Young was our captain. And when you go in these tournaments, all these teams that kind of everybody eats in the same areas, right?
Yeah.
When you lose, right, it sucks going down to eat,
Yes.
right? It sucks.
Yeah.
There's the teams that won, and you're sitting there like, yeah.
Yeah.
And Jesse goes, you know what, coach? It was great going into breakfast. It was great going to bed. We're going to the Worlds, right?
Yeah.
Like just our guys to experience all that. It was great. But
Yeah.
so that was a better ocean story than the drowning one.
And like you touched on, like props to so many guys over the years to just grinding and taking those calls for the country and doing it.
Oh yeah,
when it's like dark days and just maybe not the best time for their bodies, but they were willing to step up and do it right. And so many guys. So that's good stuff.
yeah.
Love it.
No, there's a lot of guys that made great commitments,
Yeah.
and even we had guys that played like every summer. I mean, Levon Kendall played for like 11 years straight.
Yeah.
He played with junior teams and senior teams, and we had a lot of guys. Rand, we talk about Rands. I remember
Yeah.
Rands. We were in Brazil for the Pan American Games, and I had an issue with a player. Guy really pissed me off, so I got rid of him. I sent him home.
Yeah.
I called up Rands, and I loved Rands. Like it was a tough decision not to have him. I called Rands and said, "I need you." He was on a plane in there in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Like Rands was a soldier. Rands was and so you try to do things. Rands had surgery on his knee later on, a year or two later, and he was trying to come back and play. It's hard to get a job when people know you had surgery.
Yeah.
So I said, so here's the payback. I'm taking you on the team, and you're going to play. And now you can tell everybody you're playing for Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So you're playing, you're active. Now you can get a job. If you weren't playing, you're not going to get that job. Same thing happened with Jesse Young. Jesse Young had some severe foot issues, but we with Sam Gibbs, our trainer, we helped get him back so he could make a living, right?
Yeah.
So we tried to repay guys for their commitment with our commitment, which was, again, something that Canada basketball had to change, that you need to do these kind of things,
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. Amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Good. Let's do some fun questions and then we'll get you on your way. Sound good?
All right. Sure.
Okay. You're on the road. Is it books or movies for you?
Movies.
Okay. Are there some all-time classics floating around? Is there something recent you've seen? Like
no, I'm terrible at remembering what I see. I just I'm terrible. I'm not good at like details like that. But yeah, if I got books or movies, I'll do movies.
Okay. These artists can be dead or alive, doesn't matter, but you've got the best seat in the house in a favorite venue for a concert. If you get the choice, who are you going to see? Who are some people that maybe you've seen them before? Maybe it's someone new. Give us a couple. Give us an idea of who you'd like to see live.
I saw Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA.
Hey.
His last stop before they did the We Are the World, and he let it all hang out. And
I'm going to see him in a few weeks. I hear he's unreal.
It was unreal. I wasn't necessarily a fan till I went there.
Sure.
And I go, this guy's amazing. It's 3.5 hour show. He even told about it.
Yeah.
Sit down, relax, going to be a long night. I'm going to give you everything I got.
That's
And
awesome.
then, so it's funny. I was working out. Somebody gave me the tickets,
Okay.
just like that. I went by myself. I just went.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I was driving to Syracuse for school. I stop at St. Catharines to get gas. This guy says, "You want to go to a concert at the Buffalo Memorial Auditorium?" I go, like, "Yeah, is this a scam?" He goes, "Oh, well, how much?" He goes, "No, I can't go. Do you want these tickets?"
Mm.
I go, "Let me see." Lionel Richie, the Commodores, and Luther Vandross.
What?
So, and great seats. So I drive to I got my car full of stuff for school, which can
Yeah.
drive park in Buffalo. It might not be there when I get back,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I park, I go in there and I'm watching Luther Vandross, who I never heard of, but I'm going, oh my God. Right. And Lionel Richie.
Wow.
And they did all, it was amazing. So I'm happy if I could see all those again, I'd be a happy guy.
Wow. That's a great pull right there. Well done.
Oh yeah.
Woo.
Both concerts, freebies, just
Yeah.
last minute. Boom.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Who have been some of the most important people in your life up to this point?
Oh, I'll be honest with you, man. I'm
Mm.
blessed. Like there's so many people in my life. Obviously, my family, my parents, my Jack Donohue, Dan Prendergast, my high school coach. It's a disservice
Sure.
because there are so many people.
Sure.
Like what do they say? It takes a village, right?
Yeah.
I had a village. I really did. I had so many people that did just cared, just
Yeah.
always cared, always were there. From friends, I got friends from third grade. Everybody. So I'm blessed. I'm really blessed that, like I said, I had a village.
Good. Love
But
that.
like Jack,
Mhm.
Jack gave me. I remember when Jack passed away. I said, "How do you say thank you to somebody that gave you the life you have?"
Mm.
Right? He gave me my life. He
Mm.
found me. He nurtured me. Gave me a platform. He gave me the life that I have.
Mhm.
So that's pretty wild, you know?
It is. Yeah. All because your dad dragged you out of bed too.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah.
Um, okay. Do you have a hidden talent that maybe nobody knows about? What do you got?
Art.
Yeah?
Yeah. I almost was going to major in art, but
Okay.
then I go, what am I going to do with that, right?
Yeah.
Uh, um, so there's a. I don't know if you ever heard of marquetry.
No.
Marquetry, if you look at a piece of furniture, inlaid wood, great designs, all that. So marquetry is you could look at a picture, a lifelike picture of something, but it will all be inlaid wood.
Hmm.
But when you look at it, it's going to be beautiful picture, but it's all
Sure.
wood, all different veneers, different everything to make it look lifelike.
Yeah.
So I that's my dream. I haven't done it since high school. Honestly, I want to at some point have a shop and do this.
There you
Uh,
go.
I had a dentist that offered me to do his whole office with it when he saw it, and I'll share this with you. I don't tell many people.
Yeah.
I have every plastic hotel key.
Yeah.
I have every one for the last 25, 30 years, whatever, everyone.
What?
And I usually ask for some extras. So take this idea of marquetry and veneers, okay?
Yeah.
You create a picture. So I have every kind of color, picture, design in all these hotel cards. What I want to do is create a mural of my life, traveling, playing, all that, but it's all going to be hotel keys.
Wow. That's a
So you're
story
going
in
to look at it
itself.
and see this great picture, but the picture is going to be, if you get close to it, it's going to be 5,000 hotel keys, right? That's my dream. I want to do it at some point in time. I'm going to do it, hopefully before I go blind. But
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, that's something not a lot of people know about me.
That's amazing. I love that. Like someone just point to one key and you'd be like, I remember that. Da da da. That's awesome.
Yeah. No, like I
Wow.
said, I got boxes and boxes of hotel keys. You know,
Go. Who would have guessed?
yeah.
Um,
And they have to be
okay.
your keys. You can't like have keys that somebody
Yeah,
else gave
yeah.
you. It got to be my
Yeah,
keys,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
If you were to maybe go back to being a kid, what would have been the greatest cereal of all time for you?
uh, Frosted Flakes.
Yeah,
I used to love Frosted
the
Flakes. Yeah,
classic.
yeah, yeah.
Just can't let them get too soggy, and then it
Oh
kind of
no,
ruins
no,
the
they get
texture.
soggy
Yeah,
to crappy. Yeah, you got to
yeah,
eat quite eat fat, but you always eat fast. Got to go play ball.
yeah. For
Yeah.
love it. Okay. Now this one might be difficult for you. You can take this however you want. It could be maybe some of your favorites all time, some of your favorite teammates, some of the greatest and I think one of the cool parts about your job now is like you get to see so many great players current too. So you and four guys gonna run on the outdoor courts. Let's say Kits Beach. You're at Kits Beach playing to 21, calling your own fouls. Like you say back in the day, hey, if we lose, we may not get back on the court for the day here. So
So I'm not taking like the best of the NBA. I'm just talking my guys, like guys, right?
this is Leo Rautins' episode. So
Okay,
yes,
so
you take
let's
it how
let's okay, because obviously any team I have, I'm gonna take Michael Jordan. That's it. He's the best player to ever live. So that's a given, right?
okay. There we go.
Uh oh yeah. So I'm gonna mix this up.
Love it.
You know who the best point guard is in Canada that nobody ever heard of?
Is
Stuart
it
Granger.
okay?
Stuart Granger played at Villanova, got drafted in the NBA. Things didn't work out in the NBA.
Yep.
If you ask anybody that played in those times, Eli
Okay.
Pasquale was a pretty good player for Canada.
Yeah.
He couldn't bring up that ball past half court against Stu. And Stu
Wow.
talked more shit than anybody. Stu was amazing. So I loved Stu. He was one of the quickest guys I've ever been on forward. When he came in, like he was amazing. So if we're going to Kids Beach, I'm taking Stu. And
Okay.
Stu will talk people out of their games too. Uh, there's some stories against Yugoslavia teams like that. They knew they couldn't beat us with Stu. Like they had to get him out of the game, and they did. With fights and all kinds of stuff. But
Wow.
those are other stories. Let's
So
see.
are you the two or the three here? MJ's the two, Stu's the one. What do we got?
Yeah. I guess I'll
Mix it
move to the
up.
three
Sure.
because I got to be on the team. I'm playing.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll move to the three. Um, uh, Man, people don't know. These guys today don't know how good Magic was. He was amazing. Um, for that matter, people don't know how good Isaiah Thomas was. But yeah, I don't know. So that's where we're getting it tough now. So do we want to take a center? Do we need a big? We're going to take a center, or are we just going to run? You know, because otherwise, I'll take Magic and Larry. Magic, Larry, Michael, me, and Stu. We'd be
Thanks for coming out.
yeah.
Thanks for
So
coming out.
I know I'm leaving out. Yeah, I'm just gonna forget a center because that's too hard. Man, you got Wilt, Kareem, and all these guys. So I'm just gonna go with the all forwards and guard. That's it.
Perfect. Love it. That's
Plus,
a
Magic
squad.
scored 42 playing center to win the game and win a championship for the Lakers against the Sixers. So he'll
Yeah.
be my center.
There you go. Okay, last question for you. And don't put anybody on blast that you think, but is there someone out there, a buddy or someone that you know that would be a connection for the podcast that you think would be fun to chop it up with on a hoops journey? Got a good story, someone out there. I mean, you probably have a list, but
Oh yeah.
yeah,
There's a lot of
who
guys.
so many people out there.
Yeah. There's yeah. You know what? We when there was a lot of the old guys.
Yeah.
That have some good stories. Well, I don't know if you had if you had Jay Trano on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Jay. You ever had Howard Kelsey?
Not Howard yet. Nope.
Howard Rommel Roffin.
Nope.
Rommel's he was at four Olympics for
Wow.
Canada. Yeah, Rommel's a great story. He's got all kinds of stories. Lars Hansen.
Had
People
Lars, had
don't.
big Lars.
Oh, you did. You had
Oh
Lars.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey,
So I'm
we've
just
covered
thinking.
some ground here. Remember, you were
Oh
offended by
yeah,
146. So
147. So I'm late to the game. I'm late to the game. All right.
but the timing was
So,
perfect.
Yeah, yeah. So I get it. I get it.
Well, I'll hit you
So
up.
I'll think of some
Yeah.
other guy, but I can off the top of my head. But I definitely, if I stop and think about, there's some good guys. Wayne Yearwood.
Oh yeah, yeah. Know the name. Yeah.
Wayne's got a hell of a story. He was a hell of a player for Canada as well. So um, yeah, there's I'll give you some guys.
Love it. Love it. Before we let you go, last thoughts, ideas, reflections. A Canadian legend. Thank you for being with us. It was a pleasure, a privilege, and thank you for all you've done for the game. And nice to see you enjoying life and staying busy. But any last thoughts, ideas, reflections before we let you go on your way?
You know what? It's hey, I try to be a very positive person, right? What do they say? If the only time you look down on somebody is if you're trying to help them up.
There you go.
I said I've been blessed to have an incredible life, and for young players to understand that basketball. I had a high school vice principal. He said to me one day, he saw me bouncing the ball in the hallway, being a goofball.
Mm,
He took my ball and he looks at me and goes, "Don't let the ball bounce you."
mm,
I'm going like, what the hell's that mean?
mm. Yeah, can I have my ball
But
back?
when you
Yeah.
start thinking about it,
Yeah.
like a lot of guys get derailed in a lot of different ways. What I did is I took the ball and I used the ball. The ball didn't use me. What
Mm,
I did is I took basketball to get an education, to see the world, to provide for my family, to have a platform, to so many things, right? So many things that I used the game. The game didn't use me,
mhm.
and so I just think there's so many good things that can come from being in sports and playing sports, regardless of the levels you reach. And I've been, like I said, I'm what I've been able to do and experience. It's nothing but short of amazing. And like I said, I'm blessed, and the people you encounter, the people that come into your life, it's amazing. So yeah, just live every day like it's your last, man, because you never know, it might be.
Like we like to say on the show, often depending on the day, if someone has something profound to say, I like to say church on a Tuesday. There you go. After Thanksgiving weekend, great reflection with a Canadian legend. Continued success to you, sir. Episode 146, although he's not happy about it, we still made it happen. Thanks to all our sponsors, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks.